who have previously traded insults, are said to have held wide-ranging discussions. British Transport Police say 6 men and 1 woman died in the tram crash in South London yesterday. 2 teenagers from Lincolnshire who murdered a mother and daughter have been jailed for a minimum of 20 years. The judge described it as a terrible crime with few parallels in modern criminal history. AIDS campaigners have welcomed a ruling that the NHS in England has the power to fund a drug which prevents HIV infection. Also tonight, England's cricketers break records in India. Donald Trump has visited the White House for the first time since his shock election victory to hold talks with President Obama about the smooth transition of power. In the meeting, which lasted for over an hour in the Oval Office, they had what Mr. Obama described as an excellent and wide-ranging conversation. Speaking afterwards, the president said he wanted his successor to feel welcome in Washington, but the 2 men have been hostile to each other in the past. During the election campaign, Mr. Obama said the Republican candidate was unfit to be commander-in-chief, while Mr. Trump described Mr. Obama as the worst president and has threatened to overturn several of his key policies. From Washington, here's our North America editor, John Sobel.
From January, it will be Air Force One, but Donald Trump flew into Washington today on his own branded plane, ahead of another extraordinary day in the political story of the United States. A full motorcade sweeping him to his first meeting at the White House. 2 men who in the past have made no attempt to hide their utter contempt for each other, today apparently partners, working on a smooth transition of power. Martha Joint Kumar is director of the White House Transition Project.
When you're president-elect and you land in Washington and you have at least a 15-vehicle motorcade, you recognize you're traveling in a different way. And so I think symbolically that's very important for you to understand that you're making that switch from campaigning to governing.
But there are serious policy issues where Donald Trump is determined to undo what his predecessor put in place. The Affordable Care Act, the signature policy achievement of the Barack Obama years, known as Obamacare, gave health insurance to millions more Americans. But it's hated by huge numbers because for many, premiums have soared and cover worsened. Donald Trump has pledged to repeal and replace it, though with what is unknown. Enormous amounts of time and effort have been spent on comprehensive trade deals with Asia and Europe. Both of those will be dead in the water under a Trump presidency. Obama also invested a lot of political capital in the climate change deal signed in Paris by world leaders, and which only came into force a few days ago. But Donald Trump has previously said that climate change is a hoax and promised to withdraw US support. And look beyond the ceremony in Washington and the picture is different. Here another cornerstone of American democracy was on show, the right to protest. Thousands marched in fury at the dawning of the Trump era, and some celebrated. In an election campaign that divided the nation, for many there is still deep unease, and for others, huge excitement.
Speaking in the past few minutes before a throng of photographers, Mr. Trump struck a conciliatory tone.
This was a meeting that was going to last for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and we were just going to get to know each other. We had never met each other. Great respect. The meeting lasted for almost an hour and a half, and it could have, as far as I'm concerned, we could have gone into a lot longer. We discussed a lot of different situations, some wonderful and some difficult. I very much look forward to dealing with the president in the future.
The president-elect, who takes office in January, is consulting his inner circle as he compiles a list of potential cabinet ministers. It's thought the billionaire's most long-term loyal supporters will be awarded top posts. There's speculation in Washington that the former New York mayor, Rudy Giuliani, could be the next Attorney General or National Security Advisor, while the former House Speaker, Newt Gingrich, may be in line for a leading foreign policy position. Our chief correspondent, Gavin Hewitt, reports from Washington.
An apprehensive world is waiting to see who will be Donald Trump's most senior appointments, who will be Secretary of State, who will be Secretary of Defense. These appointments will give early clues as to the character of the new administration. Donald Trump is sure to reward some of the most senior figures who backed him, men like Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York, former Speaker Newt Gingrich, and New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. America will watch closely to see the roles given to women In the first 100 days of his administration, he's likely to move on repairing America's infrastructure. His other big promise is to reduce immigration by building a wall along the Mexican border. William Goldston of the Brookings Institution believes he will act decisively.
I have no doubt that he will use executive powers to the hilt. You know, after all, I think we have to take our bearings from his activist character, the fact that he's used to being in charge of things. He does not mind acting alone. As a matter of fact, he rather prides himself on his capacity to act alone.
Nothing matters more to conservatives than who sits on the Supreme Court. Donald Trump will certainly be able to appoint one judge, perhaps more, and the court delivers rulings on issues like abortion and gun rights. On international affairs, there's a big question. Will a Trump administration challenge some of the international agreements that have formed the bedrock of foreign policy? Will President-elect Trump honor NATO's core commitment to defend allies? And perhaps most importantly, what will be his relationship with President Putin of Russia?
Mr. Trump has said one of his immediate priorities as president will be to double economic growth in the US, to be achieved in part by reversing the decline in manufacturing. It's a pledge that helped convince thousands of white working-class voters in the so-called Rust Belt states to desert the Democrats and vote for him instead. Our correspondent Barbara Plett-Usher has been to Lorain County in Ohio to see what Trump supporters in rural areas expect from their new president.
Ohio's industrial towns have voted Democrat for generations, powered by the unions that formed the base of the party. Not this time. Lorain County is one of several that went red. Steel mills sit idle here, jobs driven away by trade and automation. Blue-collar workers feel the Democratic Party of Barack Obama no longer looks after them, and many, like Hamouth Shamal, didn't trust Hillary Clinton.
They always said they're going to do good for the poor, but here, if you look at the baggage that came with her, it was basically prospering themselves, the whole family. And I believe that the American people really had what the last thing in their mind.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, has promised to bring industrial jobs back by slapping tariffs on Chinese imports and punishing American companies that have shifted their manufacturing to Mexico. Pam Church believes a businessman will do a better job than a perennial politician.
Be able to stimulate reasons why companies won't want to open up overseas. He's got a business head, he'll be able to help us with that. Hillary couldn't have done that because she's been on the government side of life, and we need somebody that was in the business building world.
But the world has changed since the glory days here. The economy's gone global, and Mr. Trump's vows to limit free trade might do American workers more harm than good.
Donald Trump's controversial pre-election pledge to build a wall along America's border with Mexico to keep out illegal immigrants signalled a new relationship with the US's southern neighbour. Our correspondent James Cook has been to the border to gauge reaction to Mr. Trump's victory.
For many Latinos, disgust at Donald Trump's candidacy has turned to despair at his election. During the campaign, the Republican repeatedly pledged to build a huge wall along the southern border, some 2,000 miles, and to force Mexico to pay for it. The Mexican president, Enrique Peña Nieto, said he'd already had a friendly conversation with Mr. Trump, but his government has made it clear it will fight any attempt to pay for the wall by seizing money which Hispanics send back to their families in Mexico. Mr. Trump also pledged to deport more than 11 million undocumented migrants and to renegotiate a trade deal between the two countries. On the border in California, between San Isidro and Tijuana, there is fear about what President Trump will do. There's also skepticism about his campaign rhetoric.
I think the people that supported him wanted change so much that they'll accept him as the change and then be okay if those things that he promised don't actually happen.
Thanks God, my kids are American citizen and I got my papers. I feel scared for my family and friends that they don't have the same situation.
Because he says he'll build the wall, he says he's going to deport people. Yeah, what do you think about all that?
You know what? I'm scared about that.
Of course, the Latino vote is far from homogenous. Research suggests that a significant minority, perhaps 30%, voted for Mr. Trump. The support was particularly strong among conservative Cuban Americans in the crucial state of Florida. The businessman fought a strategically brilliant but deeply divisive campaign.
The Prime Minister has spoken to Donald Trump and they discussed the special relationship between Britain and the United States. Downing Street says Mr. Trump invited Theresa May to visit him in Washington